Friends, how are ya? Happy Friday out there. You'll notice we're in a different scene today. We're not necessarily in the office. We're in the mobile office today. We're out here on the road, and we're headed to go see some grandparents. We've had one of our kids has been at Crazy Cousin Camp this week, and so we're going to get him and also hang out with the family a little bit. So I can't guarantee you that you're not going to hear the other small child back there who's about to take a nap make some noise for us. So just be prepared. You might hear that, and if that's the case, then you can just chime in and say hi to them. But today we're finishing part 4 of our, it's part 4 of our 4-part series that we've been talking about, kind of this new year, thinking about July 1st as the new January 1st. What does that mean for us? What do we do with that? And so as we do that, we're gonna talk about that 4th part. If you have missed it, or you're watching this on the replay, or catching this in IGTV, then feel free and go back. Would love for you to catch parts 1, 2, and 3 as we go through and look at each of those things and look at each of those parts. Would love that. And so as we go through, kind of the purpose and the intent or the hope for today is that we're going to kind of recap each of those 3 weeks and what that meant. We're going to talk about part 4 and how we can really take part 4 as kind of an alignment. That's one of our words today, but an alignment of each of those things and how do we put those together and kind of look at all those things and how they work. And so, Emily, how are you? Good to see you. Actually, I think we got some things for you, Emily. I'm not sure if you came and got them or not, but if you didn't, we have some things for you. So we talked about on week 1, we talked about rhythms and routines. And so we talked about rhythms being kind of the cadence at which we work and the way we operate. Rhythms being looking at kind of chunks of time during our day and going, what is the rhythm that makes the most sense? Some of us are morning people, some of us are not. Some of us like to, we work really well in the morning. In the afternoon, we kind of hit that lull, and then we don't have any energy, and some of us are changed. And so really, first of all, looking at what is a general rhythm in which we operate best. The second part of that was looking at our routines. And so inside those rhythms, and kind of inside that, what are we kind of the time blocking? What are those big chunks of time? What do we do with that? How do we believe in each day we're going to utilize those time blocks? So rhythms and routines was part 1. Then after we looked at rhythms and routines, we kind of jumped over into our next part. And so from there, we looked at intention and direction. So looking at, okay, what does it exactly look like for, how do we set an intention for what we want to do? How do we take that intention, create a direction or a place in which we want to go, right? And so, and then as we continue to build from there, and then so today what we're going to look like, or we're going to look at is alignment and accountability. So looking at all of those pieces, and then how do we build some alignment to make sure all those things that we had talked about building, what does that look like? And then how do we create a level of accountability so that we know, 1, in the direction that we're heading and we want to get to, and then 2, what does that mean for us? Like, how do we take that and make sure that if our rhythms and routine are aligned with our intention and direction, and that's aligned with the action that we want to take, then that should give us the ability to make sure those things are aligned. And then it gives us, as we look at our habits, which we talked about last week, we talked about habits and action. What are the things we are doing consistently, or the things we desire to do consistently that we're not doing yet? How do we put our habits and action into place in the direction that we want to go, with the intention that we have, that fits into the rhythm and routine, right? Okay, so those are all the pieces. A lot of words there. As we do that, the goal is to make sure those things are aligned. The goal is to make sure that we can put those in a way that allows us to know we can do that consistently over and over. So one of the things we talked about last week, kind of one of the ways that I challenged us, was to be able to say, let's look at the habits we currently have, the things we are already doing. So before we decide, we got to come up with 5 things that we just think we need to do. We have to get up earlier, even though you're not a morning person. Your schedule allows it. You work from home and you can start in the office at 9. We feel the need to get up at 5:30 a.m. That may be ridiculous. That may be a terrible idea for you. So how do we look at, the things we are already doing, the habits we already have, and kind of take an assessment of those and say, are these things we like and we genuinely believe in and we want to keep pursuing? The second part of that is, if not, then I think we have the space to go, what are the new habits we want to create, and how do we want to begin to move in that direction, because we've taken an assessment of where we are, not because we just flippantly made an idea because we thought somebody else on Instagram told us we should, even though that's kind of neat and that's kind of what we're doing now, but you get the gist. So as we looked at our old routines then and now moving forward, what does it look like for us to make sure that all of those things are aligned? That's what we said today's word is alignment. How do we make sure they are aligned so that we can do them consistently and then ask for a level of accountability? When we have a plan, when we know where we're going, when we know what we're doing, when we have a reason and intention behind that and a direction second. We'll take 20 or 30 seconds, and I'm going to stop talking and let you think. Looking back at each week and what we've done, I think you have to make a decision today, at least based on the homework you've done. Are those things in alignment? Are your rhythms and your routines? Is your intention and your direction? Are your habits and your action? Are those things in an alignment to where when you look at those, they seem as though each of them are feeding each other? Each of those things are working with each other. Each of those things are building on top of each other. So that's our first question. So take a minute, think about it. Think about everything you've thought about over the last few weeks. And then just over in the comments, you can just put a thumbs up. You can write the word yes. If you're in a place you're like, hey, I don't know, and they don't match, then great, be honest. You can write that there as well. So take 15, 20 seconds, think about it. I'm going to stop talking, see if those things are going together. If so, just write yes down in the comments. Is so soothing. Your daughters are already asleep since I started, so if you're asleep while you're watching them, that's not the purpose of this IG Live. So she, on the other hand, is her rhythms and routines must be in alignment because she went to sleep in about 2 seconds. So Dante, my man, glad you're here. While you guys are thinking about it, quick peek in. Tammy, Diana, Kaylin, TMC, Kelvy, I'm not sure which first name is, but hello, glad you're here. All right, so we have some yeses, some high fives, some solids, some getting there's. So there's a lot, why you're thinking, there's a lot of other words, right? Like there's a lot of synonyms we can come up. We don't have to say rhythms and routines. If there's another language that you already have that makes sense, by all means throw that in there. If intention and direction is not to say where you are, by all means throw that in there. I'm just wanting to potentially provide a framework for us to look at. So it doesn't feel like we're always just flippantly throwing things out there and going, well, let me try this and let me try this, when in fact that may not be what works for us. That may not be the thing that we need or the part that makes the most sense. And so, but I do think there's just an immense value for us to be able to put those things together. Now, one thing we haven't talked about, and maybe we'll do this in our series in August on Fridays, our team's been talking about how do we maybe give the super light version kind of identity mapping and what are each of the sections and how we can begin to just think about that on our own for the month of August. But one thing we didn't talk about in this series, which I think is really important as we make these decisions, is going back to what do we value? What are the things that are most important? And I think on part one, I think we did touch on core values a little bit, but I think that's especially important when it comes to goal setting or decision making. It's got to come back to something for there being a rhyme and a reason. We describe core values, the why you do what you do. So there has to be a reason, intention, motivation behind what we're choosing. Because if not, then again, we're just picking things because we think they may be a good idea, but they may not actually believe or be in alignment with us or something we believe in at all. We're just choosing it maybe because we think somebody else is going to think that it's a good idea or somebody else is going to think it's cool. So that's one way. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. But I think values are just a really important piece of kind of us putting all these things together. So if you haven't yet, would encourage you to go back and kind of watch part 1, 2, and 3. It'll help build and make a lot of sense today as we talk about alignment. If you're catching us and joining us for the first time, I think as we get to the accountability part, we're going to spend a little bit more time on that before I let you go today. I want everybody who's here, I want you to just write down and just come up with one person that you think could help keep you accountable. What's up, Jared? Think about one person who you think can keep you accountable. How if you're going to build this sequence of events that you know is going to put you in the direction that you want to be, who's somebody in your life that can be that accountability for you? And if you're like, hey, I don't know, or I'm unsure, and you're a part of the Daily Rock, man, let's use that to your advantage. If you want to shoot us a message there over to that phone number and just say, hey, here's my goal, or here's the direction I'm heading, and here's the time frame I want to get there, we would love to support you in that. And so shoot that over to us. Shoot us a text and say, hey, here's my intention and direction, and here's where I want to go, and here's the habit I'm creating. And then give us a time frame, and then we'll do our best to create some reoccurring things to, if nothing else, just shoot you a text message to kind of keep you on board in alignment with that. And so that was what I wanted to make sure that we covered today. Again, the idea of for us of what does it look like in order for us to be able to say, start at the beginning, rhythms and routines, big chunks of time. From there to be able to go our intention and direction, what is driving us and what is the place we want to head, think about driving down the road. From there, what are our habits that we have, both we currently have and or we want to begin to create. So the action that it begins to build in our life, that movement, which allows us to then pause, come back, like with anything that we do that we commit to, are we in alignment, does it make sense? And then what's the layer of accountability we want to have to make that happen? Remember, in all of these things, even if we have great answers, but we try to do it by ourselves, we know it's not going to work. That's nothing great has ever happened because it happened by ourselves. And so if we can support you in that, great. If you know somebody else in your life that can do that, I really want to encourage you this week. Reach out to them, ask them, let them know where you are, and let them know how they can support you. Diana, I love that. Diana says, I woke up extra early today and spent some time outside to start the day in order to clear my mind. I love that. I love those sort of habits or routines we can get into. Casey said it's been very helpful to really listen to my body, paying attention to when I have energy and when I've fallen into a rut. It's free to actually give myself that focus. I love that. I love both of those. So, ask yourself the question, are the things in the work I've been doing, are those things in alignment? 2, do I have somebody to help keep me accountable to make sure I'm moving in that direction? Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. Thanks for joining us. Weekly Rock Live, part 4 of 4. July 1st is the new January 1st, new year. Thanks for joining us on the road today. Don't forget, what's up, Nick? Glad to see you here. Don't forget, if you are interested at all, we have one spot left. We are starting our next men's coaching group in August. Next week is kind of our get in, get on Slack, get your emails, get communicated with. Our first group meeting is going to be August Monday the 13th, I believe. If the 13th is not a Monday, it's whatever the Monday is of that week. It's going to be our first group call. This group will meet on Mondays at 7:30 a.m. So every other Monday at 7:30 a.m. is when this group will meet. It's limited to six men and myself. We'll meet every other Monday, and then you'll also have a one-on-one coaching session, just me and you, each month. And then right now, each group that we're starting also includes a group identity mapping session. So we'd love to have you. If you're interested, as soon as this is done, hop over, shoot us a DM, let me know. I'd love to give you that information this weekend if that's something that you think that you might want to participate in. We would love to have you. And again, we have one more spot, so let us know if that's something that you want. If you're not signed up for the Daily Rock, make sure and do that. The number is 469-649-8441. Somebody from our team will fill that in the comment section for us really quick, so you have that. Just shoot us a text and just write the Daily Rock to that phone number. Just text that way we know where you came from. We'll get you set up, and then all those folks get 30 days on our platform as well. So hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. If there's anything we can do to support you, make sure and shoot us a DM, or if you're on